In the vast expanses of North America, the indigenous tribes flourished, seemingly detached from the rest of the world. Their traditions and customs bore the marks of their remote existence. Yet intriguingly, they exhibited similarities to both their white counterparts and the wider global community. One realm where these similarities became evident was in the realm of relationships between men and women. Though distinctions undoubtedly existed, there also prevailed what some referred to as classical elements. Naturally, these elements varied depending on the specific characteristics of the tribes themselves and the regions they inhabited. Today, on this episode of Time Capsule, we delve into the distinctive aspects of the relationships between men and women within Native American tribes. Join us as we explore the intricate tapestry of their cultural dynamics, shedding light on the unique qualities that shaped their social fabric. Across the diverse array of Native American tribes, the regulations surrounding intimacy and close relationships varied greatly. Each tribe possessed its own set of prohibitions and superstitions, forming an intricate tapestry of cultural norms. For instance, the Apache firmly believed that engaging in any relationships during the agave harvest was strictly forbidden, as it was believed to render the fruit unpalatable. Similarly, men from numerous tribes abstained from intimacy before embarking on journeys, fearing that it would deplete their strength. Conversely, the Comanche held a contrasting perspective, indulging in the arms of their beloveds extensively prior to their campaigns. The very essence and purpose of intimacy itself diverged from tribe to tribe. While some regarded it solely as a means of procreation, others perceived it primarily as a source of satisfaction for men, with little concern for women's pleasure. The Shoshone, in particular, enforced a multitude of stringent prohibitions, even resorting to brutal punishment if a woman failed to maintain modesty by keeping her knees together in public. Ritual significance infused the realm of intimacy among Native Americans. The Mandan tribe, for example, featured a ritual where women and girls, clad only in skins, brought food into the elder's tent during the buffalo invitation ceremony. Following the satiation of the tribal chiefs, young women led them to the forest, where they partook in pleasures infused with ritual meaning. A rule was in place, stipulating that each woman should attend to at least 10 old men throughout the night. However, this rule was not always strictly adhered to, as the elders themselves often lacked the vigor to engage, resorting to prayer in the woods for a fruitful hunt. Within the context of intimacy, kissing was deliberately excluded, as it was believed to safeguard the future health of offspring. Such intricacies and divergent practices underscore the rich tapestry of relationships between men and women within Native American tribes, painting a vivid picture of the multifaceted cultural landscapes that unfolded across the continent. Among the Native American tribes, the gravest offense one could commit was the crime of rape. This abhorrent act carried severe consequences, often including the harshest punishment of all, death. However, in practice, a different resolution sometimes emerged. The victim or her relatives would accept compensation from the perpetrator, and the case would be concluded. It is important to note that, by Native American standards, these compensations were often quite substantial. In each tribe, such crimes had their own distinct characteristics. For instance, among the Apache, young men would resort to forceful intimacy with women who refused their marriage proposals. In these cases, it was not uncommon for the victim's relatives to offer the offender an alternative resolution by arranging a marriage, which the perpetrator would eagerly accept. In the Zuni tribe, a public trial was conducted in such instances, and the victim herself would pronounce the verdict. If the victim demanded the death of the abuser, the sentence would be carried out without remorse. However, as mentioned earlier, more often than not, victims sought material compensation, which was often of considerable value. In the Ojibwe tribe, women openly feared acts of violence, and the local shamans fueled this fear within the community. Interestingly, in this tribe, it was the foreman himself who acted as the offender. The shaman would first warn the victim of an alleged impending visit from an enchanter in the guise of another man, only to reveal himself as the supposed enchanter. In theory, a woman or girl could not refuse, as the shaman held the highest power and posed the greatest threat within the tribe. In such cases, the shaman could always absolve himself by claiming that his body had been taken advantage of by a spirit or entity. Within the same tribe, there existed a particularly disturbing practice of dishonoring stepdaughters. The most severe punishment entailed the mother and daughter leaving their husbands and severing ties with their current family. These accounts shed light on the complexities surrounding the handling of rape cases within Native American tribes. While the severity of the crime was recognized, the resolution often relied on compensation, societal dynamics, and the influence of local authorities, sometimes diverting from the strict imposition of capital punishment. In the realm of Native American culture, prostitution, as understood in the classical sense, did not exist. However, certain traditions and practices could be interpreted as having some similarities. For instance, among the Creek tribe, it was believed that even a married woman had the autonomy to decide what to do with her body. As a result, women within the tribe had the right to offer themselves for a night to a passerby or a guest. The Salish tribe took this concept further by designating a group of women, both married and single, who were obliged to share their beds with individuals chosen by the elders. Polygamy was a common practice among many tribes, and women had the freedom to dispose of their bodies as they saw fit, akin to the Creek tradition. In several tribes, it was customary to give a wife to a guest or traveler, and some chiefs specifically visited neighboring tribes, knowing they would be offered the company of a charming woman for the night. In these instances, a woman's consent was not required, as the decision of whom to send to the guest's bed rested solely with the men. Similar customs were observed in the Omaha tribe, where if relatives believed that a woman was excessively liberal in her choices of partners, she could face punishment. The Papago tribesmen allowed special girls and women to engage in short-term relationships during various festivals. These young women would dance adorned with drawings and corn leaves, and if a man found interest in one of them, he would take her as his partner for the duration of the celebration. Sometimes such relationships led to the formation of families. In other cases, the children would be raised by relatives as full-fledged members of the tribe. The neighboring Pima people had a distinct category known as women seducers. Engaging in this occupation was not considered shameful, and women had the agency to decide whether they wished to be traditional wives or vibrant women who awaited the next occasion to offer themselves to a new partner. These intricate cultural nuances within Native American tribes reveal alternative dynamics surrounding intimacy and relationships, showcasing the varied expressions of human connection within different indigenous communities. Despite the relatively unrestricted nature of relationships between men and women among Native Americans, adultery was met with severe repercussions in many tribes. However, there was one notable exception, the Hopi tribe, which permitted men to have a private wife alongside their lawful spouse. In contrast, most other tribes punished both unfaithful wives and adulterous husbands. The severity of these punishments stemmed from the custom of men essentially purchasing their wives before marriage. This involved offering significant gifts to the prospective wife's relatives. Consequently, a wife was regarded as personal property, and any transgression against her was deemed a crime. Tribal leaders held the power to either banish unfaithful wives from the tribe or sell them into slavery. In some instances, the unfaithful women would endure public humiliation through shaving or beatings. More dreadfully, cheating wives were sometimes taken to the forest, tied to trees, and left vulnerable to predatory animals. The specific penalties for adultery varied among tribes, but it is worth noting that men were not exempt from consequences for their infidelity. If a husband discovered his wife in the arms of another man, he had the right to kill them both. Interestingly, women who suspected their husbands of being seduced or already engaging in infidelity displayed distinct behaviors. For instance, Shoshone women would publicly insult their rivals by hurling mud at them. The insulted wife's responsibility was to publicly demonstrate her contempt for her female adversary, highlighting her flaws. In moments of intense jealousy, a woman might even resort to killing her husband. Generally, there were no punishments for such actions, but living with such a woman became untenable, effectively serving as a death sentence. Since men were the primary providers for their families, a woman who killed her husband would likely leave her family without means of sustenance. These practices and punishments, though varying across tribes, reveal the intricate cultural norms and values surrounding fidelity and adultery within Native American communities. They illustrate the significance placed on marital bonds, notions of ownership, and the preservation of family units within the context of their respective tribes. Thanks for watching the video, and if you found it informative, please like and subscribe to Time Capsule for similar content. We look forward to sharing more knowledge with you in the future. Until then, take care.